We could do this like on what's that show? The Nerdist.
Okay, so works for me.
Well, hi everybody, this is Shane Mata, and here's Alma.
Hello, good morning.
So, this is episode 2 of Travel.Write.Money podcast, and we were just going over the topics for today's show. We've decided to go with home economics because we started a conversation on that last week, yeah. And then a little bit on road trips, which we haven't actually figured out yet. We'll figure this out as we go. And also about writing. I think the writing part is an introduction because both of us have aspirations and we just need to figure that part out. So economics, how did we end up on home economics?
If I remember correctly, I don't know what you were talking about, and I was trying to read my book, and then somehow you said economics or finance. We were talking about finance, specifically economics, teaching kids that it's not taught in schools, that it should be included as it's kind of like glossed over. It's not an actual class, and we ended up like 10 minutes just talking about it, and I said, well, you're taught home economics as a class specifically where you're taught to sew, you're taught to just the same. I mean, it's just like a semester class. There's no time to dig in. And I know that you said something about balancing a checkbook. I don't know. I've never taken home economics. My sister did.
Well, no, so in our senior year we took economics, and Mr. K spent like a week or a few days on that, but it was just kind of real quick. It wasn't in depth of how to manage your money. It was just writing checks. I think that was in economics.
I don't know. Sulema told me that she was my sister. I think she took it freshman year or sophomore year. I don't remember when she took specifically home economics, but she said we're gonna get taught how to balance a checkbook. And I remember laughing because my sister cannot save money to save her life, and she's getting to a point where she does need to save money to save her life, her lifestyle, her standard of living. And she never has, even as a kid. So I'm like, what bank account? You're never gonna have a bank account because you don't know, you can't save money. I've always said that it's like she has a hole in her pocket. She's got a little bit of money and the money just falls out because as soon as she has money, she decides I need something specific. I need this, I need that, or that's cute. And now that she had kids and she spent all her check on them, and then and now she does the same thing with her grandson. So I mean, we're not taught how to what is the word? I had it on the tip of my tongue and then I lost it.
Frugality, or
well, maybe not necessarily how to be frugal, but we're not taught how to manage. We're not taught how to you see it in your checkbook, or you see it in the bank and in your bank balance, and by the end of the week, I mean, it's Black Friday next week, and some people are really going to end up with Black Friday because they're not going to have any money to pay for the electricity. They're going to be in the dark. So
I forgot about Black Friday.
So I mean, it's
so home economics is an elective. What does it mean? I wonder if they still have it.
I think they do.
Do you think so?
I believe so.
Like, I know when I went to university, they did have home economics as a major. You can major in that. And
home economics, how? Like, how is a major? What type?
Do you get a bachelor's in home economics?
Well, yeah, but what are the classes that would fall under home ec? How to teach a class? How to teach how to sew a button?
I think at that one, some of it might have been that, like maybe the lower level classes, but I think without having looked at the course descriptions, I'm guessing it was probably more management, like household management, financial, like. So I think the core of home economics is more like how to manage the home as a business and how to handle staff and all that. We discussed that.
We were discussing how in the past, maybe 150 years ago, I don't know if it's still done today because I didn't, or I guess in the upper echelons of who has money or families that grow up with money, are they still teaching that now? But from what I've read historically, women used to be, young ladies, young girls used to be taught starting at a specific age how to embroider, how to sew their clothes, how to manage a household, how to run the servants, planning meals, how you could save on planning a meal, and everything was planned out for the week, for the month, even travel. And I was mentioning that we don't, or maybe it's just in the upper or families that have money, are they still, that's how, are they still teaching it? That's how men used to, we were talking about a little bit about Bridgerton, how when, I forget her name, the girl goes out, she's introduced into society at her first ball, and the mom's talking to the men and the brother's talking to them. Well, my sister knows how to embroider, my sister knows how to manage a household, my sister can, but she was trained to do that because they wanted her to get to a point where when she was of marriageable age to be able, those were her assets. This is what she was an asset. This is what she's going to bring to your family.
Right. To be able to manage the household.
And we don't.
Here's the Wikipedia entry for this. Home economics or family and consumer sciences. I'd never heard that one before. Is today a subject concerning human development, personal and family finance, housing and interior design, food science and preparation, nutrition and wellness, textiles and apparel, and consumer issues. Home economics courses are offered around the world and across multiple educational levels. Historically, the purpose of these courses was to professionalize housework, to provide intellectual fulfillment for women, and to emphasize the value of women's work in society and prepare them for traditional roles of sexes. I think that might be a little off, not too far off. I mean, they might be had some bases in gender, but I think it was more of the business aspect of it. Like if you're inheriting a ranch or whatever, you'll have to learn how to manage that sort of home versus a house in the city, for example. Different type of business.
Well, now.
Yeah.
Not under 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Or so. But
so to professionalize, but I mean that's a lot of stuff to cover. I mean textiles and human development, and I mean those are courses,
those are babies.
Things that people just learn, just focus on exclusively. Like a lot of your work in Head Start is development, or not work. A lot of education is and
development.
Yeah, because a lot happens between those 2 years that you have them.
Yeah, between.
Yeah.
Well, 3 and 5.
And of course, if you're looking at development from 1 through 3, that's a whole other.
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
As a parent.
So it seems like home economics is a bit more. Now looking at it, it's more full than you would expect. It's not just sewing, and it's more of, again, the business part of it, the business end.
Well,
multidisciplinary, I guess you could say.
Yeah, multidisciplinary. But it's not. Shoot, I lost my thought. It ran away. Yeah. I need more coffee. But it's we don't teach that anymore because I wasn't taught. I mean, I was just basics. Well, también I didn't want to learn. But
let me
cooking,
put that down as a subject for another day.
Cooking and cleaning, and now it's like I go to the store and I'm gonna cook something and I make sure to buy enough to last the whole week because I don't want to have to go back to the store the following day to buy bacon because I finished the bacon in one day, or I didn't finish it. Magnus did, but like it's now I have to be mindful, but it wasn't something that was necessarily taught to me because mom didn't. She got to a point where she didn't want to drag 4 kids to the grocery store. She would just on the weekends with my dad, or Yeah, on the weekends with my dad. She would, and my dad would sit in the car and she would have her list and she would buy. I take the stupid list and like nothing gets bought on the list because it's not what I'm planning. It's not what, once I'm there, it's like, oh, maybe I could make this or maybe I can make this. So I just.
Ooh, Oreos.
No more Oreos. They make me sick now.
Yeah.
But, or when I go shopping for clothes for the kids, I don't want to have to go to multiple stores. The beauty of online shopping. But then I can't try it on and then I gotta return it and it's just a whole different. Yeah. So I have to be mindful when I'm doing the shopping. How much am I gonna spend? What am I getting? Don't get thrown off.
Some of this could actually be avoided. Like, for example, if we still made our clothes at home or had, somebody who would do it, then
seamstress.
You wouldn't have to return things. You would just have to pay for it once. You'd get good material and it would last forever. That sort of thing. So it would be worth the added expense, but then it would save you the trips to the store.
If I ever won the lottery, when I win the lottery, let me rephrase that. When I win the lottery next year, I'm gonna find a seamstress, and this is what I want you to make for me. I'm this nonsense of going to the store and buying a whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe just my underwear I would get at the store, but just like party dresses, regular work clothes, like stuff. I would just get somebody to customize it for me because I don't always.
Well, the other day that we had to go do that emergency shopping with Ayo, I was serious about getting a sewing machine because after I saw that video on YouTube of this guy who was tailoring his clothes, like he would buy stuff off the rack,
and you can tailor.
But then he would I guess take in pieces like parts on the legs and then the waist and all that, and then tailor it. And it looked nice. I mean, it looked.
It looked better.
Yeah, it looked better than
because it doesn't fit you big.
Yeah, it's not flapping all over the place. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So I mean, I'd be willing to learn how to sew with a sewing machine, of course, for that to look better, to not look like like a clown, I suppose, with the floppy clothes.
Well, there's only so much you can do, like with a coat. That's some stuff. Some of that stuff you need, and I mean like. Suit.
But even t-shirts, like they would take like just regular t-shirts, as long as they're fitted or tailored, they look much better than just t-shirts off the rack. So for that, I'd be willing to learn to do that,
like
or get a sewing machine. But they're like $300.
Well, no, there's some more at least.
Well, the ones that I was looking at were $300.
You want them to do magic, yes.
Because what he would do is they would start the stitching and then back up. Mm-hmm. And then stitch forward again, so that way.
$89.
Yeah.
No, seriously, there's a sewing machine that'll do that for $89.
And then it also had a detachable thingamajig, so you can do sleeves around.
See, the sewing machines, you don't have to get it that expensive. I researched them when the pandemic hit.
Okay, what was a brother?
What
was the brother ones?
Yeah, those are the better ones, but they've got they've got good ones, good ones, good quality that are cheap.
But I mean that makes me think that. You could buy inexpensive stuff and make it look nice. So does that fall under home economics?
Because your textiles and fashion and that's why I was saying women were taught how to do that so that they didn't spend all night darning socks when it was freezing in Scotland just for shits and giggles. They had to fix their damn socks.
Right.
It's cold. So I mean, it's for the whole family, and you can. Well, there's alcohol. But anyway,
I like that idea.
See, and that's another thing that women knew how to do. The recipes were passed down from grandma. Yeah. Grandma's moonshine recipe.
There's also, cooking is. Or what are the other topics? Cooking. Human development, personal family finance, housing and interior design. Food science and prep, and I guess food science,
menu planning and cooking, and what does he like? What does she like? Favorite foods? Who's allergic to what? That falls under all of that. It's just so much for one person to.
Yeah. So
female.
And that's the thing is like
they were weak-minded.
It's I don't know. It seems like it's looked down upon as like it's not as valuable to be able to do all of these things, when it's a lot. I mean, it is
because it is a lot. It's just managing. It's a lot for one person to manage.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got to be split up into sections or just split up. Now they think it's too much. Women have been doing that for a long time. They have to manage the family, and you don't think of it as a business, but it really is a business, because it's managing different aspects of just one thing.
Yeah. So it's not like, I guess, if you're working outside the house and bringing in an income,
there's no time to do all of that.
Well, as a business, you're trying to show some profit, have something to show for all of your work, right?
Yeah.
But if you're at home managing the home as a family, you want to be better off, right? Because you want to have something to show for it. So you have to be able to manage your resources to be able to eke out that extra profit or the.
But what did it say at the bottom? Something about women's value, or to bring something.
The value of women's work in society and prepare them for the traditional roles of sexes.
So women were running businesses from their homes,
mm-hmm.
and not given. And now women have to balance all of that and work.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make it
making
men
it sound
versus...
like they have to be outside the home to be worthy of...
Yeah.
Of
yeah, I mean...
worthy of admiration. But then that's not
to
true.
marry them.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Well, to marry them, because that's what they would. You should watch that little part in the first episode. I was like, what? Well, yeah, but what? I saw that and I was like, what? I mean, I've read it countless times. This person is, but I mean, it worked the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he can bring an income of X amount, and he has this many homes, and they valued the material more than the. He won't beat the crap out of me once I'm married to him.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. He had multiple properties and had all of this money.
Business decision in a lot of cases.
It wasn't
how you married.
And now people fall in love and get divorced and fall in love and get separated and have kids
well, it's like to get divorced and lose half your money.
But
that's a topic for another show. Cash flow.
The joint accounts versus yours is yours and yours is mine.
Yeah.
Conversation.
Just one more thing before we move on. So as far as professionalizing the home management, I can say, like, for example, here at work, I've learned some stuff about managing a building, a property, that translates to home. Obviously, it's a different scale because commercial stuff is more expensive, but
wear and tear.
Yeah, but I've come to realize that there's cycles to things. You don't just buy something and then that you just own it. There's cycles for maintenance. There's a life cycle for the product, and it's only going to last so many years. Doesn't matter, a lot of times how long it matters on how hard you use it, but a lot of times it doesn't. So like a lawn, I learned here about treating the lawn with weed killer, and that makes my job so much easier because it doesn't grow 3 feet in 2 weeks. If it's just grass, it doesn't grow that tall. It's so it eliminated a lot of that. So it's labor saving if you do it right. It's so there's a lot of things that we can carry over from the professional world into the management of the home, if you look at it just right, I suppose. So
but that's what, bringing it back to the beginning of the conversation, that this stuff isn't taught at home where it should be taught at home, or it should be taught at school. You shouldn't wait until you start a job doing anything to learn some of this stuff. Like, we as parents need to advocate to have the home economics be a required class, and to try and touch on as much of this stuff that you mentioned in Wikipedia,
mm-hmm.
or that you read off of there, that we need to start advocating as parents that this stuff needs to be taught, or us take it upon ourselves to,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the teacher in me, that we need to start actively teaching children at home, not just manners. And y'all, we got to go back to teaching our kids manners, because these kids don't know how to cover their face when they sneeze. I've been sneezed on sneezed directly on my face repeatedly by several 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, and 5-year-olds. And they were not mine biologically. But we need to start, there's stuff that we as parents need to start teaching our kids at home and not waiting, expecting that it's going to be taught in school. Because we ain't teaching Latin anymore, and it used to be a class. We need, manners are no longer taught at home. Economics or finance needs to be taught at home, because then we end up in debt with financial companies and borrowing money from money lenders, and it's just not. No, we need to stop. We need to start teaching our kids, be more proactive in our kids' education, because it's not going to get easier.
Yeah, I think probably use the home management of the home as the basis for teaching other skills. Like kind of plant the seed at home, so that later on when you're learning how to run a business, you already have experience managing from the household, and you just carry those home skills over to the business.
They're called teachable moments. If you're in the kitchen washing dishes, hey, and you've got an 11-year-old that says, I'm bored, well, here, you dry these dishes while I finish washing, or here, put this there, or just take the opportunity to just, hey, look, I'm gonna this is how you write a check, this is how you fill out an envelope for mail, although we don't do that anymore. But that's stuff that we need to don't wait for the teacher to tell you, well, we're teaching this skill, sit down with your child and cut paper. They're not going to cut. It's like walking and running. They're not going to cut paper the first time you put scissors in their hand.
Yeah.
Tear paper. Here, tear up this bill.
And I think part of the trouble is that if you put them to do the stuff, to do chores, for one, they don't want to do it. And they'll probably do it wrong. And you'll be upset and they'll be upset. And
don't get upset.
Everybody gets
frustrated.
Frustrated when you could approach it as a team, I think. And then they're helpers. And that way the expectations are low, and they can kind of learn and progressively take on more of the responsibility. They don't realize
they're learning in a lot of cases.
Progressively take more, or learn more, like the next step and the next step. And before you know it, they can do it themselves. Or you can delegate it and know that it's going to be done properly. All right. Speaking of properly, there's no segue for the next one is road trips.
Well, you can. So you leave the kids in the house because you and your husband are taking a road trip.
Unless I'm tripping here.
There. See?
Oh.
And the chores are going to get done, bills are going to get paid, and you're on a road trip.
So road trips, what came to mind when we put down road trips was, well, obviously there's like National Lampoon's Vacation.
Christmas.
Yeah, just the suffering of some guy walking down the hall.
Travel.
Of travel, like, being cooped up with your family, and everybody's legs are falling asleep because they haven't moved in 2 hours. Stuff like that. But then
30 minutes for me. Then I gotta uncross my legs and cross them the other way.
So from where we live, the big trips typically, or the more frequent trips, are to San Antonio and Houston.
Austin.
And so those come with built-in breaks. So our first break is in Falfurrias, which is 1 hour out, and then the next one is Three Rivers,
approximately.
And then the last one is San Antonio. And then if we're going to Austin, we'll just stop and get something and then go again.
Potty
breaks. Yep.
I think the big potty breaks are Falfurrias and
Three Rivers.
Three Rivers if we're going that way.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter where we go because of where we live. Everywhere we go has to go through that practically. Mm-hmm. Even if we have to go to California or Florida, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
We have to go north to go east or west.
Yeah.
So what we want to talk about with the road trips is we did drive to California twice. Is it twice?
Yeah.
We haven't driven to...
We've been 3 times.
Have we?
Went to San Francisco.
Yeah, to the...
Training.
And
then, the second time
was...
that summer that Magnus went off to.
Okay. So 2 road trips to California. We drove to Wisconsin as a family.
Twice?
Oh yeah.
Twice. You've been by train several
Yeah.
different other times, but as a family, we've gone twice for your dad's funeral and the first time when we
Rice Lake.
Rice Lake, yeah.
Okay. So we'll probably bring some more of that in, and
we drove to.
Yeah.
No, we didn't drive to Las Vegas.
I don't know. I'm thinking with COVID and all the nonsense going on, we probably
New Mexico.
Once we start traveling again. Yeah, New Mexico is another road trip. Once we start traveling again, it'll probably be more road trips, just because of it's less hassle than having to deal with airports and luggage and all that sort of thing.
Security.
And then I don't know if car rental rates have gone down, but I saw that they were like $200 a day at some point.
Oh, that's
they went
ridiculous.
Crazy. So yeah, we probably better off.
You're not gonna be frugal like that.
No, it's cheaper to just take an Uber everywhere.
Hey, can you Uber from here to California cheaply?
No, not cheaply. No, I did see that the longest one was like from Florida to New York or New York to Florida or something like that.
Damn.
It cost a lot, but as long as the driver's willing.
Poor person's maintenance on their vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, they get paid well for it.
Mm.
So, I guess maybe that's an intro to future topics, road trips.
Just road trips in general, yeah. I mean, we're gonna take more, obviously. Maybe Nashville this summer, depends on.
Nashville.
And I want to go to New Orleans.
Yeah, it's on the way. We can stop in New Orleans and then stop in Nashville.
And then drive back.
And back, yeah. Or like I said, I have to look at the map. I would like to drive through the Ozarks.
Well, no, and you want to go to Colorado. You've been wanting to go, so I mean,
yeah.
There'll be future trips, at least what I'm calling locally, in the United States, because then we got trips to other parts of the world eventually.
Oh, Palo Duro Canyon. That's another one we want to visit.
Yeah.
And,
look, wherever there's a winery, I'm cool.
Oh, and road trips also, the Renfests. So
yeah.
we'll talk about the Renaissance festivals later on. There's one here in Texas.
A couple of Texas.
Well, there's the one by what's it called? Mission Todd Mission.
Todd Mission. Yeah. All by between Houston and Austin.
Yeah. And the one in Minnesota by Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Shakopee.
Yeah. I've forgotten the name. Since I only Google Texas Renfest.
So there's more out there, but those are the ones that we've been to. And so on the topic of road trips, we'll bring those up in future episodes. Now, on the topic of writing, I think that's where both of us, I hate to say aspiring writers, because it's like we want to, but we just haven't. Whereas, I don't know, it's like when you decide that you say that you're a writer and then you start writing. Are you a writer because you decided it, or are you a writer because you have stuff to show?
Yeah, I guess.
Is it a fake it till you make it, or is it because you've already done it? Does that make sense?
I don't know. I haven't. Well,
it's like you don't want to be an imposter, right? So you like, if you don't want to call yourself a photographer if you don't have any photos.
Well, if you've got an iPhone and you're just taking pictures and posting them on Instagram or whatever, I guess you are a photographer.
You're a mobile photographer.
is what? Okay. I guess the girls at work are.
Yeah.
But does that include selfies? You're not a photographer, or are you?
That could be like like more artistic, more.
Because
I've seen some photographers who use themselves as models, so they'll set the timer and then set up the shot and they do nice work. Yeah,
no, I'm called in to take selfies, and apparently there's an art to it.
Yeah,
you have to angle the camera so that it looks like you're taking, but all 3, 4, 5 people are in it, but it's a selfie. That's not a selfie, guys. I'm taking your picture.
Yeah. But so any who is writing, Alma wants to do a romance novel, or is it no more?
Yeah, no, I have it. I haven't gotten past page 40, but it's one of those stop and go writings. I'm kind of stuck right now, but I've gotten about 40 pages done. And then the other book that I had asked, I guess my cousin, she's also a teacher, but she's a certified teacher. I'm not. I had asked her if she would edit for me, but it's just really language. I don't need her to like edit jargon or anything. It'll just be editing language. I just needed more eyeballs on it to so that I didn't have run-on sentences or just stuff that made sense to me but doesn't make sense to the reader. But I don't know where I left that one. I mean, it's not handwritten, it's on the computer, but I have switched laptops twice, so I don't know if I have it on a thumb drive or on a drive somewhere, or if I switched it over to the computer. I went in and started deleting crap from 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah, I gotta go back into that.
Lesson plans and all of that.
So on my Evernote, I have tons of notes that are from way back when, and so I'll go back periodically and delete stuff. So what I try to do is when I make new notes, I tag them with a year and month, and then once 7 years has passed, I'll go back and check stuff that's 7 years or older, and then review it to delete. Or
see if it's still relevant.
Yeah, but it's harder to do on the computer because all you have to go on is a file name, whereas on Evernote it pops up as a page, and you can see what's in it right away. Yeah, because like old invoices and stuff like that don't matter anymore. But so going with the writing, I have a bad habit of writing. Well, partially because I do a lot of blogging, and the habit that I have is to write it as if it's kind of like like a journalist, where you have to write something that's going on right now, the news, because if you wait 2 weeks, it's not news anymore, so there's no point writing it. And a lot of the stuff that I write about isn't even timely like that. It doesn't, it's timeless, I suppose. Yeah. So if I took my time, it wouldn't matter. But when I sit down to write, I have this sense that it has to be out right now. And so I'll do a rough draft. I'll go back and reread and change things around, but I'll publish it typically in the same sitting rather than type up a draft and then come back and fix it later. And it's a bad habit because it like I said, there's really no urgency for it. A lot of the stuff is general information. It's not stuff that has to be put out right now. And I think that's the toughest part is the drafting part, where you just type it out, just get it off your brain and forget about it, and then come back and look at it later. Because I guess that's where the editing process comes in. I saw a quote somewhere that said that the best writers are rewriters, where they'll write out the first story, then come back and rebuild it. They'll rewrite it again. I guess the idea is to get it out of your brain, get the whole creative part of it, and then to rough it in, and then come back and refine it afterwards. A couple passes. From what I've read in other places, is that most good writers are also like they'll rewrite the same thing several times to get it to just the right words that they want to say, or the right feeling, or the right pace that they want the reader to have. Now you've read a ton of romance novels, and do you look at stuff like that, like the pacing and like? Yeah. Because there's like when we watch movies, sometimes it seems like some are rushed, like they try to get too much in too quick. Yeah. And then others, it just takes forever for them to get to a point. Like, do you sense that in some of the books that you're reading?
Yeah, because a lot of what I read is mostly self-published. Mm-hmm. So I try not to go in. I try to just go by the blurb and see if that's exciting or interesting. And then I start reading and it's like, good Lord, it's either too forced, or it's the language just doesn't, it has to flow. I mean, it has to flow time-wise, and it has to just, I don't know, it just has to flow. And sometimes I will be 5 pages in and then just remove it because it just seems too ridiculous. Mm-hmm. That's one of the reasons why I think I'm stuck with the manuscript, because the timing doesn't seem right. So, and I still haven't even added conflict or anything. So I I think in the beginning of a book, it's the intro. You have to get it out either in the first 5 or 6, 7 pages.
Mm-hmm.
The introducing the 2 main characters and the what's gonna happen. So I think I did that. I'm just trying to have it flow. I think I'm stuck on the first conflict. Like, I know what I want to happen, I just can't get it out. The same thing with the other book that I was working on, and that one I started like 5 years ago. I don't know how far I got, but it was I remember thinking that I wanted to do. I remember when we had TN that we were talking about kids don't come with a manual, a handbook, or they don't give you one in the hospital. And I was still remembering that conversation. I was thinking, well, I don't need one for like kids in general. I need one that's how I want my kids to be raised. My youngest is 13. I just freaking give up on the book, but this is how, like, my expectations of how, if anything happened to me, there's this manual. This is how I wanted them to be raised. And that's how I started writing it, as how I want my child to be raised if I'm not here. So, and I don't remember why I stopped. Oh, I went back to, that's when I started the master's program. So I just kind of put it aside. I didn't have time to write. I had more reading to do, more education books to read and delve into. But yeah, it has to flow. Even the books that I read on education, the flow has to be there. It has to make sense, or there's no point. And I think that's where I'm stuck on the writing. I'll get to it eventually. I have a whole week off. I have to clean the house. But I have to do some home economics this week. But eventually, I think, I'll sit down and write. And according to Shane, I guess I write lesson plans, and he said, yeah, those are fiction. So I gotta put that in the chat group at work, and see how many teachers get upset by that. Because I don't think it's fiction. I think it's more like hopeful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
We're gonna get through these skills, kids. They're in the lesson plan. Yeah, I mean, writing I've always wanted to do. I think I sat down when I was like 16 and started writing a play. So it's something I've always wanted to do. I just don't, now that as a parent, as an employee for somebody else, I don't have time. And I'm not interested in necessarily writing about, I guess, what I know. Or maybe I should write about what I know and not make shit up.
I think it can interfere because, so I do a lot of the blogging and writing, and it seems like once I'm done, I feel like I'm done, and I don't want to revisit it necessarily. So I think that's part of what prevents me from sitting down.
Current events.
Yeah, it's from writing other things is the effort put into writing these other, like, blog posts and here at work, like writing memos and things like that. It's just because it takes, it's work. I mean, it's not.
It's brain power.
Yeah.
Writing it right.
And so, like they say with like the mailmen, like the last thing they want to do when they get home is to go out for a walk.
Yeah.
They've been walking around all day.
Well, it depends. Not our mailman. It just kind of drives up and.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's you don't want to do what you do at work once you get home. You just want to. That's why I don't want to watch TV. I don't want to. Just want to sit down and read. So. And I found that on the days that I don't have anything to do, like, I'll sit down at the computer and I'll start typing. And and I can do that for a good half hour before I realize, oh shit. But or somebody comes in. It's the interruptions, the constant interruptions where I lose my train of thought.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of a sentence or a conversation and I just lose it. So I need to lock myself in the room.
That's me at work. Like, I have to spend the last hour at work typically writing down stuff that happened during the day, or finish writing an email, or because I'll start it during the day, but somebody's always at the door knocking. hey, I need this, or this isn't working or whatever, and I have to get up and go take care of that. So I leave a lot of stuff that's half done, and then have to come in that last hour and finish it so I can go home. Otherwise, it'll be here in the morning, and in the mornings is another crazy period because everybody shows up, and professionals showing up without their laptops or without cables, or they know that they're going to do a presentation that's been booked for weeks, and they show up with unprepared to do a presentation. So I have to go and set them up. I was like, come on, like, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, but you're the building manager, not the tech guy.
Well, I'm going to be the tech guy now soon. But I mean, that's the point is, I have to do a lot of that writing. I forget where I was going with that. We're talking about
just writing.
Yeah. Planning. Ah, well. So I went off track there. So I think that's we've been at it for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So a lot of material to cover in the future episodes. I do look forward to the road trips. That's going to be fun to talk about. Not just the ones that we've already taken, but the ones that we hope to take. And also on the writing part, I think
we'll get to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I want to explore the part about writers being rewriters. I think I might try just putting out really horrible rough drafts, and I'll try to rewrite some stuff. So what I can do to practice is go back and look at stuff that I started or that I already wrote, and maybe try to fix it up and write it again in a better way now that it's been out there. And I think that's a good practice for writing a book, because I do have a book that I've been thinking, actually a series of books, and I already have kind of an outline of the topics of the series.
The research.
Yeah, and so I've broken it up. So I was looking at the snowflake method, and I've broken up the scenes. I just hadn't sat down to write the parts, so I just need to type up the draft and then fix it up as we go. Add more stuff, fluff it up a little. So, all right, well, anything you want to that we forgot, you think?
No, I think we covered. Well, yeah, no, I think we covered what we wanted to discuss. Sorry, I'm checking. The screen is cracked, and I'm trying to figure out if it's the screen or the cover. Anyway, no, I think that's it for now. I mean, we're gonna add more stuff to the list that we need to, on stuff that we want to touch on. That's it. Just, I guess, the home economics, the teaching kids at home and don't expect for it to get done at school, because it's not gonna.
Yeah.
But that's all fiction on the lesson plan.
Right. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. We'll catch you again maybe next week, or we'll see. Well, maybe in a couple weeks, depending on how. With Thanksgiving coming up.
We can do something during the week.
Yeah, well, I think we have time with Thanksgiving coming up. So
yeah, I have time. Gotta clean the house.
All right, catch you guys later.